Hi everybody, my name is Bob Circasa, and I just want to take a moment to thank you for watching this video. Now, I'm not quite sure who's out there watching, but I certainly appreciate you taking the time. Mr. Will and Chris asked if I would give you a little bit more about my professional background. It all started for me 37 years ago. I had the very good fortune to be there at the beginning of a whole new industry. I was able to see something created that never existed before, and it was called home shopping. Now, I know today home shopping is a way of life for so many people, but way back then very few were used to shopping this way. As a matter of fact, we were the very first, and many people are surprised to find out how what is today a multi-billion-dollar industry, how it really started. And it actually started not on TV, but on a very small radio station in Clearwater, Florida. The station was called WWQT 1470 on your AM dial. Wow, we thought we were big time. The truth of the matter is, this was possibly one of the world's worst radio stations. And when you don't have a lot of listeners, you don't have a lot of advertisers. And when you don't have a lot of advertisers, it's difficult to stay on the air. However, the owner of that radio station, a gentleman by the name of Bud Paxson, he would go around town and persevere and knock on business door after business door, and he would sell a few advertising contracts here and there, not too many. But one time he sold a 13-week advertising contract to an appliance store in Clearwater. And so for 13 weeks on my radio show, we advertised the appliance store. We ran the commercials, and I talked about the appliance store, and I told people to go visit it and go in there. Well, at the end of the 13-week cycle, Bud went back to the store to ask the owner if he'd like to renew the contract. The owner looked at him and said, "Renew? Wait a minute. Not one person," he said, "not one person has come in here and said they even heard my commercial." And then he said, "You indeed do have possibly the world's worst radio station." And Bud said, "Wait a minute, I'm sorry, but that's not how it works." And the guy said, "You know what? I'm not going to pay you." All true now. He said, "I'm not going to pay you for the advertising." Well, Bud said, "Wait a minute, we had an agreement." They went back and forth, back and forth. Finally, the guy who owned the appliance store said to Bud, "I tell you what I'll do. Instead of paying you in cash, look back there by the door. About an hour ago, a couple of boxes came in, a new shipment of merchandise. Take a box of merchandise instead of cash." Well, by this time, I think Bud was feeling, well, if I leave with something, at least I'll feel a little bit better. So he picked up the box of merchandise, had no idea what he was going to do with it, got in the car, drove back to the radio station. Now, meanwhile, I'm on the radio doing my talk show every day from noon to 3. And every hour there was a 5-minute news break where they do the local news, local weather. And I take a little break. So here I am in this booth, sitting in a little booth, having a cup of coffee, not bothering anybody. And in walked Bud. The door opened up and in came Bud. Now, Bud's about 6'7". So when he comes in a room, you know he's in that room. And he's holding in his hands an electric can opener. Now, keep in mind, this is 37 years ago, so this is 1977. So this was one of those avocado green, ugly electric can openers. And he looked at me and he said, "Bob, when you come out of the news, I want you to sell this can opener." I looked at him like he had 3 heads. I said, "You want me to do what?" He said, "I want you to sell the can." I said, "Sell? You want me to sell?" I said to him, "Wait a minute. I'm a newsman. I have morals and ethics. You want me to sell something?" He then proceeded to explain to me the relationship between me selling the can opener and me getting a check. And instantly, that can opener looked pretty good. And so I came on after the air, after the news, and I said to everybody, I said, "Folks, you're not going to believe what happened during the last break." And I recounted the whole story, and I started describing the can opener. And I said, "If you call me up right now and reserve a can opener, come on down to the studio and pay for it, it's yours." And pretty soon the lights, on the phone, they started to light up. In fact, I didn't know what those lights were because nobody ever called me before on the show. And on that day, it was August 28th, 1977, we sold 112 electric can openers. And that was the beginning of the entire home shopping industry. That's how it all started. We stayed on radio for 5 years until 1982, and then at that time they wired this particular county in Florida for something that was called cable. Now back then, cable had nothing to do with programming. It only had to do with reception, improving reception of the existing channels. So we had all these channels that were open to us. So we went in, we leased a channel, we went on local cable TV, and the industry went crazy. And then in 1985, we thought, wait a minute, if this works locally, it's got to work nationwide. And so we went up on July 1, 1985 on the Galaxy satellite coast to coast, and that was the TV shopping industry on a national basis. And now today, as I mentioned earlier, the TV shopping industry generates billions, over $12 billion a year just in this country. And then if you go anywhere in the world, mention any country, chances are that country has its own TV shopping channel. So it has turned into an incredible industry, and I'm so happy to still be in it. I still go on the air all the time. Over the years, individually, I've been able to sell, just myself, I've been able to sell over $1 billion worth of merchandise. In one day, I sold $1.8 million in water filters on the air in just one day. And my clients have generated over $10 billion over the years in total sales. Back in the late 80s, in the infancy of the TV shopping industry, we started to get celebrities on the air. And at that time, celebrities came on without a product. We just had the celebrities come on to hopefully stop the channel surfers to find out more about this thing called home shopping, what it was. And then the celebrities figured out, wait a minute, if I got a product and I came on and I sold the product, I can make a lot more money. So then celebrities started to come on with their own product. However, here was the challenge. Celebrities, pretty much, are focused on themselves as a product. That is the product. It's them. That's the way that they do business. However, with the home shopping industry, I was now confronted with the challenge, how do I get that celebrity to think that this jar of cream is more important than they are? So I had to come up with a very quick, effective, on-air sales training program that would teach the celebrity how to create the need for that product. They knew how to create the need for themselves, but how to create the need for that product. And so my sales training program was born in the late 80s. And I probably trained, I would say about 90-95% of the people that go on the air and pitch their products on all the TV shopping channels. They go through my training program in one way or another. And the program is licensed out in brick and mortar retail too, because it can be adapted to teach anyone how to sell anything, anywhere. As a matter of fact, I wrote a book. It's called Life's a Pitch. So this is really a resource manual to teach everyone how to sell anything, anywhere. But over the years, the celebrities that I've been able to work with, I made a list here because there are so many. Suzanne Summers, Fran Drescher, Florence Henderson, Ken Pavis, Jennifer Flavin Stallone, Rocky's wife, Carol Alt, Jillian Barberie, the late great Dixie Carter, Patti LaBelle, Ed McMahon, Farrah Fawcett. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. But now, the new rock star, the new superstar in the TV shopping industry is Chrysalin. It's Chris. That's right. I can't wait to get a hold of Chris. I always like holding Chris anyway. Sorry about that, Mr. Will. But but to get Chris involved in my program, to teach her how to take what she knows and really condense and focus that message so it's able to resonate to the viewer. She has great expertise, she has great knowledge, great products, but how do we communicate that message effectively? And that we can do. Once again, thank you so much for watching the video. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I hope we can continue this conversation by way of phone or maybe face-to-face, but I look forward to seeing you all out there. Don't forget, life's a pitch. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.